For more incredible action figures and collectibles, including the ones seen in this review, check out Lindsay's Toy Room at www.lindsays.toyroom.com. Hello YouTube and welcome to Turmoil in the Toybox. I'm your host Aaron Hauser, and today we're going to be reviewing the Hasbro Marvel Legends Guardians of the Galaxy 6-figure set. This includes Nova, Iron Man, as featured in the Guardians of the Galaxy comic series, Gomorrah, Drax the Destroyer, Rocket, and Starlord. And as an added bonus, if you collect all 6 figures, you can build your own Groote figure. Now I picked these guys up from Lindsay's Toy Room at lindsays.toyroom.com for $135 plus shipping and handling, and I was really glad that I did so because in getting the entire set, I didn't have to hunt down all the individual figures to build the overall Groote figure, which I was really excited about with this series. So, saved me a lot of trouble, a lot of hassle, and all of these guys arrived in perfect condition, so I was really happy that I was able to kind of just pull them out of the box, add them to my collection, and assemble the Groote figure all at once. So we'll start by taking a look at the Starlord figure, which in my opinion is my favorite out of the bunch. And this comes with a bunch of accessories actually, which is really nice. You've got both of his blasters. You've got the basic Starlord head, which I think looks the sharpest. And then, of course, he's got his rockets on his boots built in there. And then he also comes with a couple other accessories. He comes with his headphones, his iconic Walkman, and an alternate head. Now, the alternate head doesn't look nearly as sharp to me. I really think I'd probably just stick with the regular Starlord head with the mask, just because that just looks so much cooler. But overall, it was nice that they did include an extra head there. So to replace that, you just pop that off and then just click this one into place. It's pretty easy. So overall, really love this guy. Great paint application. There's no bleeding or chipping or anything like that. And as far as articulation, he's got articulation in the head, forwards and backwards, and left and right. Articulation in the shoulders, in the upper arm, elbows, in the wrists, in the middle of the chest there. It kind of rocks back and forth a little right there. And then you've got waist articulation, articulation in the hips, in the knees, and in the ankles. And then he also has that sort of mid-hip joint right there. But yeah, overall, you can really do a lot of poses with this guy, and it just looks so incredibly badass, especially with the mask. They did a great job with the sculpt. They got all the little sort of indentations and everything perfectly on the mask. Looks really nice. Very cool figure. So, setting him off to the side, we will take a look at Iron Man. And this is, like I said, the Iron Man that is featured in the Guardians of the Galaxy comic series. This is not in the film. Same goes for Nova, actually. These are just some little added figures that were introduced for this line, which I thought was really cool because I always loved this Iron Man armor for the Guardians comic series. And he features more or less the same articulation in the shoulders, upper arm, elbow, wrist, torso, head, waist. Oh, that shoulder pad popped off. And then also in the hips, in the knees, and in the ankles. And that actually kind of leads me to my next point, which is he does have articulated shoulder pads. These rock back and forth, but they're not incredibly well, I don't know how else to put this. They have very stumpy pegs to hold them into place. So they tend to pop out very easily. When it's on display, it's not that big of a deal. But if you rotate the shoulder just right, these will pop out and you'll have to kind of, you know, set them back into place. It's not too hard, and you know, I think it's nice because it would really inhibit the shoulder movement if these were solid. You wouldn't be able to get as much movement out of them. But yeah, if you see this like floating around in the box or something like that, don't freak out and think that it's broken or snapped off or anything, because this is an incredibly easy fix. But yeah, just to note that these do pop off pretty easily. So overall, pretty good paint application. I really like the articulation on this, and the sculpt is really nice. They did a really great job with this figure. Now I know this and the Nova were kind of, I don't want to say throwaway figures, but they're not the main focus of this series, but you do have to collect them in order to build Groote. So overall, I think this is a nice addition to the line. It's not the strongest figure, but it is a very, very cool piece. So that is Iron Man. Next we'll take a look at Rocket, and he actually comes with the weapon that you see Drax holding here, which is, I can't remember the name of it, but it's this huge, like, sort of plasma cannon thing that they build, and Drax actually uses it, or threatens to use it at one point in the film, and it fits really nicely in the hands of any of these larger figures, which looks really cool. Overall, this weapon, it's got a lot of detailing to it, which is really nice. There's no real articulation to it. It's one solid chunk, but it does look very cool, especially if you can get one of the characters to hold it properly. So, but yeah, that weapon is included with Rocket. And here's Rocket, comes with his iconic blaster that he has throughout the film. And taking a look at articulation here, he's got articulation in the head, in the shoulders, forwards, backwards, in and out, at the elbows, and at the wrists, and then at the torso, and then there is no like ankle articulation or anything like that, and then he has articulation in his tail. Now the tail does come in handy because you have to have the tail sort of either left or right to get him to be propped up, so he doesn't fall over, especially with the gun in hand. It can be very easy for him to topple over. So once you've got everything kind of set, it looks really nice on display, and I think it's a very, very cool addition to the series. Now the only thing that I really did notice with this figure is that the paint application isn't as good. If you look at the eyes on this, give you kind of a closer look there. There's some kind of paint bleeding around there. Nothing horrible, but it's all a little bit of extra here and there. And then on the top, there's some kind of chips there that need to be popped off. Stuff like that. And then you got some kind of like orange fade on the shoulder pads. Stuff like that. But overall, for a small Rocket figure, this isn't half bad. And I really like the fact that this actually came with so much. This comes with the most important piece for Groote, which is his upper half with the head and the chest. And then it also comes with, you know, his blaster, and then the really big blaster for the other figures. So you do get a lot of bang for the buck. This is the hardest to find, though, of all of the Guardians figures in this Marvel Legends series. This figure in particular goes for about $40 roughly on Amazon right now. So, like I said again, if you really want to save yourself some trouble, some stress, and you know, get all of these guys all at once, it's a lot easier to just get the whole set instead of just hunting each of these down, because it's just going to take you forever at this point. Most places are selling out of the Rocket figures, and a lot of the other ones too. I think the ones that I've seen at my local Toys R Us at least have been the Starlord and the Iron Man. I haven't seen any of these other figures show up just yet. So, but yeah, that is Rocket for you. We'll set him off to the side. And we'll go ahead and take a look at Drax now. If I can get this weapon out of his hands. Seems to really like it. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, so with Drax, this is a really cool piece. I really, really like this figure. This is probably my second favorite of this whole series, and I thought they did a great job capturing his likeness from the film and everything, especially with all the different, like the tattoos and stuff he's got all over. Looks really, really cool. Now, as far as accessories goes, he comes with his two blades, which fit nicely into his boots, like that. And then can also be placed in his hand, which is really cool. Then he's got two of those, so you can get that attack pose going there. Ooh, falling out there. So like that. And he's got the same articulation that you've seen on all the other figures. Nothing really special there. But the sculpt on this is just phenomenal. They did a great job And I really like that they added the boot sort of sheath for his knives too, which look really, really cool there. So overall, pretty badass figure. Really impressed with this guy. So that is Drax the Destroyer for you. Next we'll take a look at Gomorrah, and honestly, she's probably, I don't know, she's probably at the bottom of the bunch for me. I think that I really loved her character in the film, but this figure overall is just very, I don't know, I feel like it could have been done a little bit better. The facial sculpt, it's decent. It's not the best, but it works. Same articulation applies for this, although she doesn't really have a stomach point to kind of bend forward and backwards. It just kind of pivots. Well, it does go back a bit, apparently. But it mostly pivots, which I thought was kind of odd. And then on top of that, she only comes with her sword. There's no sheath or anything like that, so, you know, not a big deal. But her hands don't really hold the sword all that well. It's a very thin handle, and in either hand, the sword falls out very easily. So it's kind of an odd deal. I'm not sure what to do with it. So if you get this sort of pose, you know, she can hold it like that or something like that, but it's overall, I just thought that was odd that you would include an accessory that she can't really hold all that well. So the sword itself is pretty neat though. It's one solid silver piece. Decent sculpt on that. And then, like I said, she's got the same articulation that you've seen on the other figures. Overall, nice sculpt. But the biggest issue that I have with this figure is the fact that her feet are so incredibly tiny, which makes her very difficult to stand by herself. You have to kind of lean her forward or give her some sort of odd position. It takes a lot of balancing to get this to work. So most of the time when I have her on display, I have her kind of leaned up against another figure or something so she doesn't fall over. But she has very tiny feet. She does have peg holes in her feet, so you know, potentially you could use one of the NECA display stands to kind of keep her balanced or something like that. But overall, I just thought it was odd that you'd make it like that and not include a stand for the figure, just to make it a little easier. So overall, not a horrible figure. Not a horrible figure. I can't emphasize that enough. But there are a couple, you know, things that I wish they could have done differently to make her a bit more stable. So, but yeah, that's it for Gomorrah. And then last, we've got Nova, as seen in the comics. And this is a very, very cool figure. Very, very sweet looking piece. Does have slightly articulated shoulder pads. You have articulation in the head, back and forth, up and down. You've got a flex point in the torso, rotation in the waist, articulation in the hips, in the mid-thigh, knee, ankle, and then you've got the shoulder, upper arm, elbow, and wrist. And a really nice paint application on this one as well. Really, really dig the sort of sheen on the blue armor and everything. It looks very nice. Overall, a very sharp piece. It doesn't come with any other accessories, which, you know, it doesn't really need them, but it is a very cool figure. Once again, this is kind of one of the add-on pieces to the series so that you can get to Groote here. But overall, I thought it was a very nice addition to the line. Very, very cool figure. So, and then lastly, we will take a look at Groote. Now, in his hand, I do have the orb. This actually, and I forgot to mention this, this actually comes with Starlord. So, you know, I don't want to spoil what this orb is actually used for in the film if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, this is included with Starlord. Now, the Groote figure, I know this isn't technically part of the whole series. Once you get the whole series and you build them, it is. But this is worth collecting all the figures for. This thing is incredibly sharp and is probably the most, I don't know, the most on-point Build-A-Figure that I have ever seen from the Marvel Legends series. He has a ton of articulation and an immense amount of detailing to him that just make him just an incredible display piece. An incredible display piece. He's got articulation in the head. He's got articulation in the middle of the torso there. No waist articulation down here. He has hip articulation that kind of ratchets a little. It's really hard to move once you get it snapped in there, but it does have hip articulation, knee articulation, ankles, and then up top it's got shoulder articulation, the upper arm moves, the elbows, and the wrists. But real quick, I want to show you a close-up of the head sculpt. That is, I mean, that is incredibly on point for a Build-A-Figure. They just did a great job capturing the color, the look of the eyes and everything. It's got that sort of glossy black look to it. Very, very cool. I love the different shades of green and the wooden textures all over his body. It just looks so incredibly well done. And I don't know, I really enjoyed the Build-A-Figures that have come with these different Marvel Legends sets, but some of them are cool, some of them are just kind of chunky looking, but this guy is definitely, you know, he rounds out the entire set just perfectly and makes this a really nice addition to the overall series. So, you know, if you have to hunt down each of these figures to build the Groot figure, I would highly suggest it because they're all very cool. They're all very well done. And I think that, you know, for the price of each of these individually, they go for about, I want to say $20, depending on where you look at maybe Walmart or at Toys R Us. That's where I've seen them at least. And if you hunt them down individually, you're probably, I don't know, you're probably going to pay a lot more than if you would actually just get them, you know, as a complete set. Not to mention, you'll probably save yourself a lot of stress, like I said, in not having to actually, you know, hunt down all these guys and get them all together at the same time. So, but yeah, there you have it. That is the Guardians of the Galaxy Marvel Legends 6-figure set, including the Build-A-Figure Groot. So, if you have any questions about this set of figures, just leave them in the comments below, and feel free to check out some of my other reviews, including other reviews that I've done in the past on different Marvel figures, ranging from Diamond Select to, I want to say there's some other ones in there as well, including the large-scale ones from NECA. So, that's about it. As always, thanks for watching.